Rebecca Minkoff and Scientology, the normalizing plus whitewashing of child abuse. By Serge Delmar. What is it going to take to confront evil? Rebecca Minkoff's affiliation with Scientology underscores a recurring and deeply troubling pattern: the normalization of a high-control, exploitative organization under the guise of personal growth or religion. While Minkoff, like many public figures tied to Scientology, may frame her involvement as benign or empowering, the reality for those raised inside the cult, particularly children, is starkly different. I know this firsthand. I grew up in Scientology, and I grew up with Rebecca Minkoff. This isn't just some abstract critique of another celebrity trying to spin Scientology as an edgy self-improvement tool. I witnessed what Scientology does to kids. I lived it. Minkoff may choose to gloss over its abuses now, but the children raised in this system don't get that luxury. We carry the scars, while people like her help whitewash the cult's crimes. The glamorization versus the reality. Minkoff's portrayal of Scientology as a tool for clarity is a well-worn PR tactic used to whitewash its abuses. It's the same script Scientology feeds every Scientology parent who can be weaponized as a mouthpiece. But let's be clear. There is no choice or empowerment for children in Scientology because they are groomed to accept the abuse before they are even capable of consent. Without consent, there is only coercion. Without autonomy, there is only control. There is no spiritual growth for children in Scientology, only forced compliance, exploitation, and a lifetime of psychological conditioning to accept textbook actual abuse as normal and even helpful. What Minkoff is helping to cover up: coerced auditing sessions. Children as young as toddlers are forced into invasive role plays disguised as sessions, the so-called audits. They're coerced into disclosing their most private thoughts, fears, including sexual information to adults who have complete control over their lives and no business doing that. Isolation from outsiders. Scientology cuts children off from non-Scientology family, friends, and mandated reporters. Their entire world becomes the cult. A grooming for a lifetime of servitude. From infancy, they are drilled to believe that questioning Hubbard is dangerous, that authority is absolute, and that leaving means losing everything, including their family. Rebecca Minkoff is complicit in laundering Scientology's reputation. She has carefully cultivated a successful businesswoman persona that lends credibility to a cult that systematically violates children's rights, and she acts as if she could either no care any less or pretends had no knowledge of anything. The cult's playbook: exploiting parents to abuse children. Scientology thrives on the manipulation of parents. It sells them a fantasy of total freedom, while trapping them in a cycle of exploitation and an indefensible cycle of abuse against their own kids. Financial abuse. Parents drain their life savings into Scientology courses and auditing, leaving their children neglected or worse paying, and exposing their own kids to the abuse itself. Emotional manipulation. Scientology convinces parents that their children's eternal salvation depends on strict adherence to Hubbard's unhinged, dangerous to all kids policies. Guilt is weaponized to enforce compliance regardless. A delusional hierarchy. Parents chase OT levels and status, believing they are ascending to a spiritual elite. In reality, they are perpetuating a system that will ultimately demand the same sacrifice from their children, for which Scientology parents choose to override the kids' lack of capacity to consent and instead force and expose them to their horrific abusive sessions, courses, or ethics handlings. Minkoff's comments about finding answers in Scientology mirror the cult's recruitment rhetoric. Scientology doesn't just prey on individuals, it preys on parents, turning them into enforcers of the very system that will harm their own children. The children pay the price. For every Rebecca Minkoff who want to claim Scientology works for her, there are countless children suffering in silence. Medical neglect. Scientology's anti-psychiatry stance denies children critical mental and physical health care. Educational deprivation. Many children are homeschooled using Scientology materials, leaving them unprepared for the real world. Emotional abuse, labeled suppressive or PTS, potential trouble source. If they question doctrine, children endure public shaming, forced interrogations, and psychological torment. A call to action for Scientology parents. To parents still inside Scientology. Your comfort with cognitive dissonance is costing your children their childhood. You are not stuck. You are choosing to prioritize Hubbard's doctrine over your child's safety. You are not waiting for the right time. You are avoiding the discomfort of admitting you were deceived. You are not protecting your family. You are exposing them to a system designed to exploit them. Scientology parents, both past and present, must be held accountable. It is not enough to quietly walk away. It is not enough to distance yourself while refusing to speak out. The damage is done, and silence is complicity. Rebecca Minkoff is just one of many public figures helping to sanitize Scientology's image. But no amount of celebrity endorsements can erase the cult's legacy of child abuse, financial ruin, and shattered families. I grew up in this system. I know what it does to kids. Rebecca does too, even if she is choosing to distort reality for her own convenience. I know that every time someone like Minkoff downplays or defends Scientology, it helps keep this abusive structure in place. For those of us who survived, this isn't about image or PR. It's about exposing a system that continues to destroy kids' childhoods while the world looks away. To Scientology parents, the world is watching. Your children deserve better. Choose them. #NMKIS #No more kids in Scientology.